Rightio. Deep in the heart of Westchester sits this little bald guy, right? No, not Winchester, Westchester. It's like a county in New York here. Google says it's an hour and 7 from Manhattan. And seriously, I didn't know this, but the X-Mansion actually has a real-world address. 1407 Grey Malkin Lane, Salem Center. There's no street view with Google Maps, so if anybody has a photo, I'm actually curious as what exists there. But for extra points, Google 177A Bleecker Street. Disclaimer, I'm not responsible if you wake up the demons.
I would, but I don't actually have fingers.
Use voice activation. Hey, welcome to Comic Lore and History. If this piques your interest, consider reading the whole issues by signing up to Marvel Unlimited at marvel.com/unlimited. Anyway, in the mansion, which doubles as a quote, school, end quote, there's this bald guy, right? Except he doesn't really care he's bald because he also can't use his legs, so there's that drama.
And nothing screams superhero like paraplegic.
I'm just saying he's sitting for a reason. Though the fact that he's the world's strongest telepath probably takes the edge off a little. Anyways, we call this guy Wheels, but you can call him Professor X if you like, and he totally nonchalantly summons his, quote, students, unquote, cough cough growing militia army with his big brain. What we soon learn is that his, quote, students, end quote, are actually learning to control their powers so they can beat the living shit out of anybody who looks at them wrong. It also turns out that McWheels is a bit of an arrogant twat and first called his little team the P-Men for Professor Men, but due to some confusion with the local urinary clinic, decided to go with his last name instead. And forever, we have the X-Men. So let's meet them. So first and foremost, we have Scott Summers, codename Cyclops. Now, my disdain for this particular Scott Summers may upset a lot of people. I know he's got a lot of fans out there, but he is a long way from being either the proactive 90s leader with a real strategic knack or the semi-cool rebel from the 2010s. This guy here is a guy who organises his sock drawer in his spare time. I think that those who dislike Cyclops often come back to his early personalities, which, to be frank, is somewhere between no personality and Captain McBoy Scout Pants. Basically, he's a total teacher's pet and a real buzzkill. Buzzkill? Does that fit? Is that 60s slang? I mean, just look at it there. Look, He's basically the Captain America of the X-Men. Yeah, I said it. But honestly, if you're watching this video, you probably knew that, right? Right?
I'm only 3 lines of script old, so it's new to me. Who else?
Beast. Yes, this is Beast. No, he's not blue yet. Hank McCoy was blessed with glandular issues that increase fluid retention, which ensures his hands and feet are always swollen. They also act as counterweights so he can spin real fast. He's not so much a doctor at this stage, but very scholarly and has a horny teenage guy thing going on. Yeah, it's okay in the 60s. Iceman. Next we have Iceman, who is apparently made from styrofoam in those early days. Also apparently a stripper. I don't even want to know what fetish this is. Bobby Drake from day one, comic relief and prankster of the team. Glad to see he's matured. Not so much. And then there's Angel, who's has wings and the power of being irrelevant even back then in his natural form as he was today. Seriously, he doesn't get a lot of airtime. Get it? He flies. Airtime. Never mind.
Oh, I got it. That's the reason I didn't laugh.
Fine. Somebody better apocalypse him up soon is all I'm saying. But to get to know them better, we go through a typical 60s comic book training montage with holy crap. Seriously? That's cliche, but one wrong move and, well, McWheels is going to be dealing with the dirty thoughts from his cellmates. The story takes a turn, however, as we are introduced to a new student, Jean, who it turns out is a girl. Ooh.
Like me.
And no, you're just a piece of code and an AI voice. Not saying that would stop me, but anyway, Jean Grey rocks up and what's that on her head? Is Jean Grey French now? So, Jean has the power to draw squiggly lines in the air and telekinesis, which is not telepathy, but the ability to move things with her mind. That mind reading stuff comes later, but seriously, squiggly lines. That's something. Have you seen my artwork?
Yeah, I am your artwork. Why am I so thin and so always very hungry? Help! He's keeping me here.
No, shut up. Get out. Sorry, guys. So Jean is introduced to the teenage boys and things get a little seedy, but at least they're teenagers, McWheels. But we'll get to that later. You watch it, buddy. I mean, look at this. All the subtlety of a 1960s male who believes that dames should do exactly what they want. Yeah, I said dames, but just as the five guys are getting the casting couch ready, yeah, you can thank me for that image later, this guy shows up. Yeah, it probably won't be important. Mags, as we formerly know him as, has the power to control all metal, despite his name and magnetism being ferrous in nature. At the moment, very much villain of the week type villain to begin with, but I will say, for the time, he wasn't busy robbing banks or twirling in his evil mustache and doing evil for the sake of being evil. Credit where credit's due. Lee and Kirby gave him a believable motive from day one, something lacking for the time. Sure, his goals of extinction of the human race is a little ambitious, but hey, the man's an overachiever. But at least there is some empathetic purpose to his being. And let's face it, can you really hate a man with such delightful metallic sky cursive? Nah, didn't think so. He's a real hero here. So back at the X-Men, the Professor senses a disturbance in the Force and sends his X-Men after Mags. You know, in a remotely driven plane in the 1960s. Well, I'm still here buying a fucked up second-hand sedan in the 2020s. Not bitter. So while Mags is attacking like the entire US Army, the X-Men decide to attack Mags. And apparently, Cyclops has an ability to shoot Magneto's magnetic lines, which aren't even a thing in the first place.
Is it?
It isn't. But for now, Mags is totally staggered, man. But seeing that his assailant are teenagers, does the old "get off my front lawn" and fires a barrage of missiles at them. But that's okay, because Iceman can launch snowballs at the speed of sound. Mags confuses 16-year-olds for 6-year-olds and plays hide-and-go-seek, and then decides to blow the rocket fuel storage he is conveniently hiding behind, and then totally says his. No, for reals. Master plan of miraculous Magneto. So bad. So bad. Anyways, so the X-Men are buried under the rubble, but still being such lightweights, the rocks don't hurt them, and Cyclops can I-beam his way out. Then there's more wiggle lines, Mags buggers off, and then the General says the thing.
What thing?
Uncanny. He said it. He said the thing, see? Uncanny. Uncanny X-Men. Okay, quick review time. I can see those who haven't read a lot of comics from this time thinking that the era's stories are a little corny and a dialogue a little stilted. I mean, they are what they are. And while the Lee Kirby combo produced some of the best from that era, it's hard to not see it for what it is. For the time though, the X-Men kind of succeeded in what it wanted to achieve, even if it didn't get the best reception at the time. I won't go into it too much here because there are other channels that have already done it, other videos on it, you can Google it, but there's a large parallel between the growing movements of the 60s in regards to race and women's rights and the anti-mutant hysteria that would come out of future issues of the X-Men that would set the book apart from everything else that day. Even the villain, Magneto, having specific views on Homo superior and their place in the world raises the bar to another level. From what I understand, it was also one of the first books with a team of teenagers rather than adults, with all the problems that came with being teenagers, hormones and loves, the infighting, the pranks. It was really focusing on its target audience, and I can see how that made a difference. When you break down the issue further, you also realize that Lee and Kirby really did manage to fit a lot in. There wasn't a lot of room to get to know any one character in depth, but they really did provide a foundation that would ultimately lead to one of the biggest selling books in comic book history. There's so much more to the difference between books in this era and the modern uncompressed versions that we read today that I think I'll do another video on specifically for the 60s era. Otherwise, I'll be repeating myself every video. Hey, thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this approach, please like and subscribe for more videos. And remember, if you're interested in reading the full story, the easiest way is to sign up to Marvel Unlimited at marvel.com/unlimited. I need to breathe.